The world was stunned. Newsrooms everywhere erupted in disbelief as the story broke, with anchors struggling to convey the sheer magnitude of what had just been uncovered. Headlines flashed across screens and social media feeds exploded with speculation and excitement. Vast oil and gas reserves, hidden for centuries beneath the waves, had been discovered in the West Philippine Sea. The scale of the find was unprecedented, with early estimates suggesting it could be one of the largest energy discoveries of the 21st century. This was no ordinary find. It promised to transform the Philippines, not just economically but socially and politically as well. The nation awoke to a new dawn, with hopes rising as high as the city's tallest skyscrapers. For many, it felt like a long-awaited turning point. The Philippine Department of Energy's announcement, broadcast live and watched by millions, revealed reserves rivaling those of the Middle East, deep beneath contested waters. The official's words echoed around the globe, instantly making headlines in every major capital. Years of secretive exploration, codenamed Luzon's treasure, had finally paid off. Teams of scientists and engineers had worked tirelessly, often in harsh conditions, to unlock the secrets of the seabed. Their perseverance had rewritten the nation's future. For a nation long dependent on costly imports, this was a lifeline, an end to energy insecurity. Ordinary Filipinos imagined lower fuel prices, more stable electricity, and new opportunities for businesses and families alike. The sense of relief was palpable. Suddenly, the Philippines was thrust into the global spotlight. Economic analysts projected enough reserves to power the country for a century, and investors around the world took notice. The peso surged, and international interest in the archipelago soared overnight. The potential wealth could fund infrastructure, education, and healthcare on an unprecedented scale. Roads, bridges, and hospitals could be built, classrooms modernized, and millions lifted out of poverty. The promise of a brighter future felt within reach for the first time in generations. But the discovery's location, the hotly contested West Philippine Sea, meant this was more than an economic story. The waters were already a flashpoint, claimed by multiple nations, and tensions simmered just below the surface. It was a geopolitical flashpoint, raising urgent questions of sovereignty, security, and power in Asia. Regional leaders scrambled to respond, and military strategists pored over maps, anticipating the next moves in a high-stakes game. As hope surged across the nation, diplomats and strategists braced for the storm to come. The government called for unity, while citizens rallied in the streets determined to defend their newfound treasure. The world watched, knowing this was just the beginning. The discovery had set the stage for a new era, one filled with promise, peril, and the eyes of the world fixed firmly on the Philippines. As the first rays of sunlight touched Manila's skyline, the city buzzed with a sense of excitement and anticipation, unlike anything seen in decades. The air was thick with possibility, and everywhere you looked, people seemed to move with a new energy, as if the city itself had been awakened from a long slumber. News of the monumental discovery swept through every corner of the city, carried by whispers, shouts, and the glow of mobile screens. At newsstands, crowds jostled to grab the latest papers, while on trains and buses, commuters scrolled through headlines, sharing updates with strangers and friends alike. The story was on everyone's lips, from jeepney drivers at bustling terminals to university students gathered on campus lawns, from small business owners to office workers, everyone was swept up in the same dream, a brighter future. People imagined lower fuel prices easing daily burdens, new jobs opening doors for families, and a surge of national pride. The Manila Stock Exchange soared to record highs, reflecting the country's collective optimism. Headlines blared of a new Philippine dawn, and social media exploded with hope and speculation. For many, it felt like the beginning of a new era. That evening, President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. addressed the nation in a historic broadcast. He spoke of unity and progress, promising that the newfound wealth would be managed wisely and benefit every Filipino, from the cities to the farthest provinces. His words echoed in living rooms and public squares, stirring both hope and cautious optimism. For the first time in generations, opportunity seemed to have come home. Families celebrated, young professionals dared to dream bigger, and children waved flags, sensing that their future might be different from the struggles of the past. The country's narrative shifted overnight, from a nation long dependent on imports to a potential energy powerhouse. Filipino workers on offshore rigs became symbols of hope and ambition, their efforts now central to the nation's story. Yet, amid the euphoria, older generations remembered past missteps. They recalled times when sudden wealth brought not progress, but disappointment. They knew that riches alone were no guarantee of lasting change. Questions quickly surfaced about corruption, governance, and whether the benefits would truly reach all Filipinos. Debates erupted in cafes, on radio shows, and online, as citizens demanded transparency and accountability. The nation stood at a crossroads filled with hope but also aware of the risks ahead. The choices made now would shape the country's destiny for generations. Would this windfall finally lift all Filipinos, bridging the gap between rich and poor? Or would it deepen old divides, leaving some behind while others prospered? The discovery had awakened a sleeping giant. The Philippines now stood on the threshold of transformation, but its next steps would define its future, whether it would rise together or falter under the weight of its own promise. The world watched closely as the Philippines prepared to chart a new course. International investors, neighboring countries, and global media all turned their gaze to Manila, eager to see what would unfold. The promise was real, but so were the challenges. The nation's journey had just begun, and its true test would be in how it turned hope into lasting progress for all. Luzon's treasure could mark a turning point in the Philippines' history, offering a real chance to end the nation's long-standing reliance on imported energy. For decades, the country has depended on foreign oil and gas to power its cities, industries, and homes, making it vulnerable to global supply shocks and price swings. By tapping into its own vast reserves, the Philippines could finally free itself from the unpredictable volatility of global oil markets, insulating its economy from sudden price hikes and supply disruptions that have often strained household budgets and government resources. The potential revenue from these resources is staggering. Trillions of pesos that could not only erase the national debt but also provide a steady stream of funding for ambitious infrastructure projects, modernizing cities and rural areas alike. With this newfound wealth, the government could transform education by building world-class schools, invest in cutting-edge healthcare facilities, and ensure every Filipino child has access to quality learning and medical care. The Philippines could even become a major energy exporter, supplying oil and gas to neighboring countries across Asia, turning the archipelago into a key player in the regional energy market. This new role would grant the country significant diplomatic leverage, strengthening its voice in international negotiations and boosting its influence within ASEAN and beyond. The energy boom would create thousands of high-quality jobs, from engineers to technicians, and could even reverse the brain drain, encouraging talented Filipinos abroad to return home and contribute to nation building. This shift could ignite a golden age of development, with new businesses, innovative startups, and thriving communities springing up across the country, fueled by optimism and opportunity. The Philippines would move from being an economic lightweight to a true regional powerhouse. New industries, ranging from advanced manufacturing to technology, would rise, diversifying the economy and making it more resilient. As prosperity spreads, a robust middle class could emerge, enjoying better living standards, modern homes, and greater opportunities for personal and professional growth. Ultimately, this discovery is about more than just oil and gas. It's a once-in-a-generation chance to unlock the nation's full potential, lifting millions out of poverty and inspiring hope for a brighter future. But to seize this opportunity, the country will need bold vision from its leaders, unwavering discipline in execution, and a spirit of unity that brings together people from all walks of life to work toward a common goal. The path to dominance is open, but it will require determination, collaboration, and wise stewardship to ensure that this promise becomes reality for generations to come. The West Philippine Sea instantly became a global hotspot. The US saw opportunity and risk, an empowered ally, but also heightened tensions with China. Southeast Asian neighbors watched closely, some emboldened, others wary of escalation. Powers like Japan and Australia, reliant on open sea lanes, prepared to support Philippine sovereignty. The region became a chessboard of alliances and rivalries. Manila faced a delicate balancing act: assert its rights, avoid conflict, and leverage new alliances. Every move would be scrutinized by global powers. The choices made now would shape Asia's security for decades. The Philippines had to navigate with both strength and caution. China's sweeping claims over the South China Sea directly challenged the Philippines' right to Luzon's treasure. Despite a 2016 International Tribunal ruling in Manila's favor, Beijing rejected it, increasing its military presence near the discovery. China's strategy: intimidate, delay, and push for joint development on its terms. The Philippines holds legal rights but lacks the military muscle to enforce them alone. US support is a deterrent, but also risks superpower confrontation. Manila must assert its claims under international law while keeping diplomatic channels open. Economic leverage could strengthen its negotiating position. Securing the treasure will require courage, strategy, and deft diplomacy. The stakes, not just resources but national sovereignty. Extracting Luzon's treasure is a monumental technical challenge. Deepwater drilling demands advanced technology and expertise the Philippines currently lacks. International partnerships are essential but mean sharing profits. Environmental risks are severe. A spill could devastate marine life and coastal economies. Strict regulations and world-class oversight are non-negotiable. Typhoons and complex geology add to the risks and costs. Only responsible, transparent development can ensure the nation benefits without sacrificing its natural heritage. The promise is vast, but so are the dangers. History warns of the resource curse. Nations enriched by oil only to fall into corruption and instability. Sudden wealth can breed inequality, neglect of other industries, and rampant graft. The Philippines must build ironclad systems of transparency and accountability. Oil revenue should be seed capital for a diversified, future-ready economy. Models like Norway's sovereign wealth fund offer a blueprint for long-term prosperity. The challenge: turn a windfall into a legacy, not a fleeting moment. The nation's character will be tested as much as its institutions. The true treasure is in how the wealth is managed. Good governance will decide if Luzon's treasure uplifts the Philippines or becomes a lost opportunity. A national petroleum framework must ensure transparency in contracts and revenue. An independent sovereign wealth fund managed by experts can safeguard the nation's future. Local communities should see direct benefits with funds for development and social programs. Civil society and media must hold leaders accountable at every step. The country's vibrant democracy is its best defense against the resource curse. With integrity and public service, the treasure can fuel a just, equitable future. The world will watch how the Philippines writes this new chapter. The Philippines stands at a historic crossroads. One path leads to prosperity, energy independence, and regional influence. The other risks corruption, division, and conflict. The stakes are enormous, not just for the nation but for Asia's balance of power. A strong, stable Philippines could counter China's ambitions and promote regional stability. Failure could embolden aggression and undermine security. The world is watching as Filipinos decide their future. The true test is not the oil beneath the sea, but the choices made above it. This is a story of character, vision, and unity. The nation has a once-in-a-lifetime chance to shape its destiny. The world waits to see which path the Philippines will choose.